video is inspired by some very negative comments on my YouTube videos. And even though I've done lots of videos on pros and cons of Nevada County, and I did a video just on cons of Nevada County, I decided to take this opportunity to go even deeper into these cons, specifically the ones that were mentioned on my YouTube videos. I did notice that the negative comments were from people who have lived here 20, 30, and even 40 years, and they complain about a few specific things. One, the cost of living having gone way up. Two, the cost of fire insurance having gone way up. And three, the homeless population, crime, and drugs having gone through the roof. And I'm going to go into all of these subjects in this video, but I'm pretty sure that no matter where you live in the world, that if you've lived there 40 years, the things like cost of living, fire insurance, and the homeless population, drugs, crime have probably all gotten worse no matter where you live. I get being nostalgic about how things used to be, but in my opinion, we are super blessed to live here in Nevada County, and the pros far outweigh the cons. I have lived here 8 years, and I guess I'm still in the honeymoon phase because I absolutely love it. I do have friends that have lived here more than 20 years, and they still love it. So at the end of the day, it's all personal preference, and you have to decide what's best for you. I'm just here to present the information to help you decide, and if you do decide that this is where you would like to buy a home, I would love to help you. Consider me your boots on the ground realtor. All my contact info is below, and for now, let's get into those cons. Number one, fire insurance. This is a hot topic, no pun intended. The biggest misunderstanding about fire insurance is that it's hard to get. It's actually not hard to get. You're just likely going to be stuck with the California Fair Plan, and the California Fair Plan is not all that fair because they know you're stuck with them. However, it's not always as bad as you might think. There are some things that you can do to get discounts on your fire insurance, like one, being within 5 miles of a fire station. So when you're looking for your home, you can put it in your GPS, the address of the home and the closest fire station, and see if it's within 5 miles. If there's a fire hydrant within 1,000 feet of your home, and if it's in a fire-wise community. Even though we live in the Sierra Nevada foothills and there's trees everywhere, which is what makes it so beautiful here, there are still fire-wise communities. A fire-wise community doesn't mean that there's no trees. It just means that it meets certain criteria, like the trees being limbed up. There are a few other things that I've heard may provide discounts in the next 6 months, but even if they don't, these are good things to look for in a home that make it more fire resistant. One is the roof, if it's a metal roof or concrete tiles. Two, if the siding is hardy board or some kind of cement fiber composite. It looks like wood. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but it looks like wood, but it's actually not wood, and it's really lovely looking. You find it in a lot of the higher end homes. And three, the deck. If the deck is a composite deck and not real wood. I do love the look of real wood. It's so beautiful. But not only is it flammable, it's also a lot to maintain. You have to stain it or seal it every year so that it doesn't get dry rot. And I do find a lot of decks in this county have a lot of dry rot. So the composite decks, sometimes they call them Trex decks. I think that's just a brand, but any kind of composite deck is not going to have to maintain it, so it's less work and it's not as flammable. Also, there is another discount you can get, but it's after you own your home. So once you close escrow, you can call your insurance broker and get this list of fire hardening things that you can do to and around your home. And if you can meet this criteria, you will get a discount on your fire insurance. I get asked a lot what the fire insurance costs are, but I have seen it vary so much from home to home that it's really hard to say. I have had clients buy very high-end, large homes that are within 5 miles of a fire station and have a fire hydrant within 1,000 feet be about the same price as a much smaller home that is more than 5 miles from a fire station. So it's really hard to say. The only way to really know is to call your insurance broker, or I have an incredible insurance broker that I can connect you with, and we would call and give them the address and get an estimate on what the price would be for that specific home. But to give you an example, I had one client buy a home for $700,000. It was a little over 2,000 square feet in Lake Wildwood, which is a Firewise community, so they're getting the discount for being in a Firewise community. And their insurance is just a little under $2,600, and that includes the fire hardening discount, which they got after they purchased their home. And another couple bought a beautifully remodeled high-end home, over 3,000 square feet on a couple of acres. They paid about $1 million for it, and they are paying about $5,250 for their insurance. The cost of your insurance can also go up each year. So you can raise your deductible to bring down your cost, which is what I have done, and I know several other clients have done that as well. And places in other parts of the country like Texas have wind and tornado insurance, so there's always something no matter where you live. And as much as the news wants to report that Californians are moving to Texas, I actually have quite a few clients that live in Texas moving here. So no place is perfect. You just have to decide what's best for you. And if you're going to move here, just plan on your fire insurance being high. And that way, if it's not quite as high, you'll be pleasantly surprised. Let's cover the homeless population and drugs and crime all together, as I think they're often related. And before I do, I just want to clarify that I know that there are homeless people that are people working really hard, making a lot of effort, and maybe just had some really bad circumstances and ended up homeless. But in this video, I'm actually just specifically talking about homeless people that are obviously homeless because of drug addiction. And when you see this person in town or walking down the street, it's obvious that they're either on drugs or have done so many drugs that they're permanently affected from that. And so that's what I'm discussing in this video. And before I get into that, I just want to say that we all have our own lens that we look through and in life. And for me personally, I'll just share that as a child, I grew up with drug addiction in my life. My dad was a drug addict and he died from it when I was 6. And because of that experience, when I grew up, I think I attracted drug addicts into my life to work out these unresolved wounds and issues with my dad. And so I ended up as an adult trying to help a lot of people get sober. And I couldn't save my dad, and so maybe I was trying to save other people, but it never worked, and those people never got sober. And I finally just came to the realization that everyone has their own life's path and their own things that they have to work on. And when it comes to drug addiction, there's nothing I can do to help anyone. I have tried, and people just have their own journey. And so I've really had to let go of it. And I don't mean to be cold or insensitive about the homeless population in Nevada County. It's just that after, now that I'm in my 50s and my whole life experience, I just kind of had to let go of it and just know that people have to do what they're going to do and go on their own journey, and I have to be on mine. So that's how I feel about it. What I see in my daily living and driving around the county showing homes is that there are a handful of homeless people that hang out downtown Nevada City. So downtown Nevada City has Broad Street, which is the Broad Street exit, and Broad Street is a long street with lots of shops and restaurants, and it's really lovely. And then running parallel to that is Commercial Street, and it's also a lovely street with lots of shops and amazing restaurants, but it's a much shorter street. And this street is most of the time blocked off to cars. So there's not a lot of cars going through there. And so I think it attracts people who want to kind of hang out. And there's a lot of people that hang out in this area, not just homeless people, because there's amazing restaurants, like really high-end restaurants. There's the pizza joint, which is like the best pizza ever. And so there's Three Forks, Heartwood, Friar Tuck's, there's boutique shopping. And so it's a really lovely street, and a lot of people gather there. And you are going to see some homeless people hanging out there, and some of the restaurants do feed them. And there's also families with children and people going on dates and just various kinds of people hanging out there. There's also kind of a group of people in Nevada City that dress in a kind of funky grunge style and have dreads, and so maybe they look homeless but they're not actually homeless. So it's really obvious when you see a homeless person because, as I said, they're gonna look like they are either on drugs or have been on too many drugs for too long and are permanently affected by that. And so this little street, Commercial Street, along with these high-end restaurants and boutique shopping and this amazing pizza joint, which is not a high-end restaurant, it's just the best pizza ever. There's also 2 bars. And so you've got this mix of all different types of shopping, restaurants, bars, and it just draws a real eclectic group of people. And so that's that area in downtown Nevada City. In Grass Valley, there are a handful of homeless people that hang out on the outskirts of the CVS parking lot. This is the Brunswick exit, so this is not the downtown exit. And the CVS parking lot, they hang out on the edge kind of near Wendy's. And this is a big shopping center. So there's Safeway, CVS, and a bunch of other stores. And the parking lot is just really large, and there's often extra space. It's not packed. Like, you can find a parking spot there on a regular basis. And so I often park my car there when I meet clients and they want me to go in their car. I will leave my car there. I don't leave it right on the edge where the homeless people are, but I do leave it in that parking lot, and I feel comfortable parking my car there. I also see homeless people on the other side of the freeway of the Brunswick exit, and there's some fast food over there and some gas stations, and I'll see some homeless people walking around or riding a bicycle over there. And I do see, just driving around the rest of the county, now and then I do see a homeless person sitting on the corner or walking around or riding a bicycle. So I get it, if you have lived here 40 years, the homeless population and drug issues are going to seem a lot worse than it used to be. But when I think about surrounding areas like San Francisco, which used to be a beautiful city and is now just a mess with the homeless population and drug problems that they're having, I just think we're really lucky to be here. And it's, to me, from my perspective and my opinion, it's not that bad here. But it has to be what you're comfortable with, and it's all relative to where you live now as well. I did find some data on the Nevada County website, but I just first want to note that I actually don't cover all of Nevada County. I primarily cover Nevada City, Grass Valley, and Penn Valley. That includes some other little towns in this area, but all of Nevada County also encompasses areas like Truckee, which is a really large area, and it's over an hour from here. So when I reference these reports on Nevada County, just keep in mind that they're including Truckee as well. So I'm just going to read a little bit of data from the Nevada County website. And it said that for 2024, there were 258 sheltered and 258 unsheltered. Kind of strange, it's the exact same number, but were counted for a total of 516 people experiencing homelessness. I also read on this site that those numbers could be 2 to 3 times higher. And I don't know how much of those percentages of people are homeless people with severe drug addiction, or homeless people who really are not doing drugs and are trying really hard and working really hard and just had bad circumstances. I'm guessing this all leads to the subject of crime, since drugs and crime usually go together, and maybe homelessness too. And also after 40 years, I'm sure there's more crime here than there was 40 years ago. I feel completely safe living here, and I don't see it as a huge issue. But everywhere has crime. Nevada County has crime. We're no exception. And so I'm going to read you some data on that as well. And again, this data includes Truckee as well, since it's all of Nevada County. So on bestplaces.com, according to the latest statistics, the violent crime in Nevada County stands at 22.5, slightly lower than the national average of 22.7. However, when it comes to property crime, Nevada County has a higher rate of 40.7 compared to the U.S. average of 35.4. Crimegrade.org, a different website, gave Nevada County an A, and it had a lot of other info, but it also said, considering only the property crime rate, Nevada County is safer than the California state average and safer than the national average. So that all seems a little bit contradicting from the first website that I read, but I wanted to share something other than my opinion. And lastly, let's cover the cost of living in Nevada County. I don't think there's anywhere that isn't more expensive than 40 years ago. And I do think that we are so blessed to be living here. Relatively speaking, it is so affordable. I moved here from Sonoma County, which is about 3 hours away, and I don't think I could have bought a garage door in Sonoma County for the home and land that I bought here in Nevada County. There are other counties that are less expensive than Nevada County, but in my opinion, they just aren't as beautiful and don't have the community that we have here and the art scene and the music scene. We're centrally located, so we're very close to Tahoe. And we get the benefit of being close to Tahoe, but we don't have to deal with snow all winter long. So we're in the foothills. We get the beauty of mountain living, but we don't actually have to live like mountain living. And I could go on and on about what I love about Nevada County, but that's not what this video is about.